Let your spirit grow wings and fly with me, and fly with me. Hi out there in YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I did vote on the community tab, and I had pretty much, there was much over 50% that was going towards astrology. It was like 34 or something, 34%, and then like 34% also for life paths. So I thought I'd kind of do like a 2-in-1 here and try to cover them both with astrology, but more importantly the nakshatras, because they are much more specific, and Western astrology with the 12 or Egyptian astrology is really good, but it doesn't really offer the guidance as towards what path you should take in this life. Now, I know a lot of people, including myself, everyone in the world, I don't think there's an exception to this rule, so you're all applicable, is we all fall prey. We all fall prey to the mold that society would like to cast us in. And oftentimes, you know, that means like your parents, you know, they want you to be a doctor, you want to be a doctor to make your parents happy. That's just one small example in the many plethora that's out there. But really, your life purpose should be from your heart, from your soul, from your core. And from astrology, I really know how precise that can be in defining your character traits. And what's so cool about this is, okay, I'm gonna share an app with you that also, if you want to download it, and it's a free app. It has nothing to do with me, by the way. This is not sponsored or any of that kind of thing. It's just that this app actually deserves some commemoration, some respect, and some like applause, like, because they actually translated all of it from like Vedic, and like it even shows the text in the original, but it allows some of the knowledge to trickle through the grapevine, so to speak, to our Western world, because the Vedic astrology is just so precise. So I highly recommend to download this. I'm going to show you on my phone as well, but it's called the Nakshatra. If you just search for the Nakshatra, that will find it. And its icon looks like this. It's the little focus. Well, there it is, Nakshatra. It looks like a little star. Okay, it's a red star. It looked kind of like orange or yellow on the camera, but it's a red star. Okay, so you're like, get to the point. How do you figure out your life path? Okay, well, ancient sages in Vedic times articulated the goals of humankind, translated as Puras Harathas. Puraharathas? Not really sure how to translate some of this because it is Vedic, and I can't speak, you know, Vedic. So, but it does translate to Purusha, meaning individual or person, and Artha, meaning objective and meaning. So, if you put those two together, that's like, you know, your individual meaning, right? And there's only 4 of these life paths, okay? And they're important. I'm going to teach you also really quickly how to remember them, because there's only 4 it's not like you gotta memorize all the nakshatras. Just remember the 4 life paths, and then if you look up nakshatras for the sign, then you understand what that sign's kind of about. And there's many levels, which I'll get to later, on how to even deeper the understanding after the life paths. But there are the 4 main life paths, and they basically start with Kama, Artha, Dharma, and Moksha. Okay? So, Kama. Can anyone take a guess at that? Well, think of the Kama Sutra. Insert image. Like, yeah, I know. Like, well, that's what it means. It's desire. And so, it doesn't just mean in sexual nature, although most of the time that is where it will be most applicable to. However, it could mean desire for other things, such as money or fame, but it does not apply in the same way as the other life paths. It's more in a kind of an addiction kind of state, like a desirous. Like, you know, like someone playing slots and just pulling the slot thing and like hoping, you know, like that would apply for Kama. As well as sexual desires, okay? So if you have that in you, if you look up, I should, well, I'll get to that after. I'll tell you what the 4 life paths are. I'll tell you what the 4 life paths are, and then I will tell you how to figure out what yours are. So, we had Kama, that's like the kinky stuff, and like desire, and like, okay? Then Artha, to remember Artha, because remember we remembered Kama Sutra, right? So Artha, this is my own little weird way of doing it. I always think King Arthur. Arthur, because it has to do with money and getting material wealth, well-being, and establishment, prestige, respect through material gain. Stability through material gain. None of these are bad at all. They are all. These 4 life paths are all considered equal and all considered sacred. So, they're all just different. So, we went through Kama, Artha, Dharma. Dharma is like duty. Right? Dharma, duty, okay? Well, it's like an act of service. So it's really, it can be very broad, but depending on like your individual chart, but it will always feel as if you're having to do service, or that like a duty, like, but you want to. It's hard to explain. It's kind of like a, you know, for the greater good, like you, because it's Dharma is one of the more last on the list, and that's because realizing that we're all one and that everything in the universe is interconnected. By serving others, they're actually helping way more than if they just were to help themselves, because they can help many people instead of just helping themselves. So it actually does the universe and all of the interconnectedness much more duty and much more service. And then that brings us to number 4, which is moksha. Moksha is liberation. Moksha is freedom from the dream. It is spiritual untethering of our wings so that we can fly to other kind of realms in consciousness. Moksha is spiritual, so if you have moksha really high in your chart, then you're gonna be attracted to more kind of religious, spiritual, esoteric topics. That could even include aliens, extraterrestrials, all that kind of stuff, poltergeists. It just means you will be drawn to like the other side of the veil, because you know that there is more to this world than meets the eye. And obviously, depending on your chart, which since I've now gone through the 4, I'm going to tell you how you can figure out which one's yours. Well, I hope you downloaded that app I was telling you about, because now I'm going to show you how to kind of use it. Well, I hope you already know your birth chart, because you have to know that. And you need to know your sun, your moon, and your ascendant. Think of it like the Holy Trinity, okay? The Mother, the Father, and the Holy Ghost, right? Or, in Vedic, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu. Or, in, what's some other ones? It's 3, the Sacred Trinity. It stems throughout all of our culture because it's always existed and it has always been sacred. It's cardinal, fixed, mutable, you know? Creation, destruction, and maintenance. Like, that's... and it goes in a loop. So, and it's all very interconnected. So, if you know your, specifically your moon sign, most importantly, if you look on your birth chart, I'll give you an example. So if you're looking at your moon, okay, then you can see what degree it is in, okay? Now, it's probably not going to show it in the nakshatras, but you can use another image, such as this one, to cross-reference the two and translate it. And then you will know where you fall. And just write it down, or just remember what number it is. For example, my moon sign is number 7, Purnavasu. Okay, it's the bow and quiver. I did videos on all of the nakshatra signs, so if you are interested in that too, I highly recommend to go and watch that. I have a playlist on my channel on the nakshatras. But this is about your life path, okay? So if we're trying to just, all those other things aside, when you know what your moon sign is, in nakshatras, it has your goal. And it's going to either be Artha, Kama, Dharma, or Moksha. So, and I'll show. I'm gonna put a little snippet of my close-up of the screen after. But another thing that is important to take into consideration. So if you have those 3, your moon, sun, and ascendant, then you also want to look at, besides just their life path or their goal in life of the 4. But you also want to look at their caste system, because there's like a butcher, farmer, merchant, priest. Butcher, farmer, merchant, priest. There's a whole bunch. I think there's actually more than 4, but there's a plethora, a whole bunch, okay? And you can take that into consideration with your chart. Because what I find really awesome about this is that, like, for myself, I have, oh, I'll have to do what? I remember, it was farmer, merchant, priest. So I have, like, farm abilities, and I love plants, and, like, watching them grow. And, like, just, you know, taking care of them. That, like, connection to nature and just kind of being one with it. If you have farmer cast as in your sun or your moon or your ascendant, you'll probably connect to that. There's butcher caste. I don't have that in mine. But there would be a little more harsh. And maybe a little more able to handle some gruesome, gory stuff. And be a little more like, yeah, that's life, you know? That's why they called it the butcher caste. Because they're job titles. Which, yes, they're like thousands of years old. So some of these jobs don't really exist in the mainstream as they used to. But you can still use your knowledge and your understanding of what that job is like. And then that's why they gave it to the signification within that nakshatra, because it has those traits within it. So I have the farmer, which can, you know, watch things mature and nurture them and help them to grow, and merchant, which is kind of talkative. It has it's kind of like Mercury with the communicational abilities. And, you know, able to sell things, like, you know, a merchant, you know, like a car salesman, basically. And, what's my last one? Oh, priest. So, very spiritual. That one also had, like, the life path goal of moksha. Like, I have my sun, my moon, and my ascendant. I have Artha, Kama, moksha. So, all of them except for Dharma, but, you know, it all depends on your individual chart. So, look at your chart is what I'm telling you, because I can't just say it in a nutshell, because there's so many combinations. But if you mainly start with your moon, because in the Vedic teachings, your moon sign was actually more important than your sun sign, okay? So, your moon sign. See what its goal in life is. Artha, Kama, Darsha, Dharma, Moksha. Like, so look at your chart and see what your life path is. Use those three I talked about and integrate them together. And yeah, I'm gonna show you on the phone now.
Alright, so here we are at on my phone. So if you download the Nakshatra app, as you can see in the upper left, I'm going to click on it, and you would find out your sun sign, your moon sign, and your ascendant. And those three will be really strongly influential in, I mean, you can also look at Mars and Venus, but really strongly the ascendant, sun, and moon. So then you would find which nakshatra placements you have it under. For example, my moon sign, turn of the click on that one, and then we would go to, give me a moment, I'm looking, where is it? Oh, there we go. Goal. Okay, so, goal. Right at the top of the screen there. It says Artha. So, keep that in mind. And then I also really like to look at the deity. Similar how in Western astrology uses the planets. There are a plethora of different gods. That if you understand the god, then you also understand some of the qualities that sign has. And I also really like to look at, like, all of these factors you can take into account, but it can get a little complicated. So the goal, Artha practical, the deity, and the caste, which is merchant. There's many different types of caste, like priest, warrior, butcher, merchant. Which other ones are there? But there are a bunch. And you can, and farmer as well. And you can take them all into, create like a conglomerate and amalgamate them together. And that really will help to show you which direction in life will bring you the most actual deep heart fulfillment.
So, I'll put the phone part in, and Yeah, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content, and subscribe if you're new. And I'm new to the community tab thing, like they added that to Facebook, and I'm going to continue to do polls on what I should do my next video on. And as long as I see it's kind of leaning somewhere, doesn't even matter how many votes I get. It doesn't have to be like hundreds or anything. I just want to know that someone out there, you know, cares. I'm just playing. Ba-da, bum, ba-dum, bum. Ba-da, ba-dum, do, 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 do. Do 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 do. Let your spirit grow wings and fly with me, and fly with me.